This report is a tale of two Ghanaians, Emmanuel Asamoah, the one dragged before a camera and forced to prove his right to exist, and the ones quietly running the boardrooms, the balance sheets, and the intellectual engines of the very country that humiliated him. We begin, as all good farces do, with a video. The scene is a dusty roadside. A Ghanaian man, his papers clutched in his hand like a life raft, stands encircled by a mob of South African vigilantes. They demand he prove his legality, accusing him of stealing jobs and bringing crime. His documents are in order, but documents do not matter to a mob that has already convicted him. The camera phones roll, broadcasting his humiliation to a world that will watch, click like, and move on. This is the face of Wenela South African xenophobia, street-level, performative, and devastatingly effective at reducing a human being to a hashtag. But what the camera does not show is an executive floor, a laboratory door, or a Vice-Chancellor's office. Spaces where other Ghanaians are not asked for papers, but are instead handed the keys to the kingdom. Consider Edem Abotsi, the acting chief financial officer of the South African National Defence Force. He arrived in 1991 as apartheid was crumbling, and became a naturalized citizen in 1999. For over a decade, he has managed the Department of Defence's multi-billion rand budget from the Defence Headquarters in Pretoria, appearing before Parliament's Joint Standing Committee on Defence to explain troop allowances and procurement. While vigilantes scream about foreigners being a security risk, a Ghanaian is literally signing the checks for the entire military, ensuring soldiers are paid and equipment is bought. The benefit to South Africa is not theoretical, it is a defence force. Its disbursements overseen by a man whose competence has survived years of public scrutiny and political noise. The irony, of course, is lost on the mob. They would never dream of storming the defence headquarters to demand Abotsi's passport. That would require a ladder. Then there is Professor Nana Poku, the Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Arriving in 2013, he rose through the ranks to become the head of one of the country's largest and most crisis-ridden universities, steering it through financial turmoil, student protests, and the long shadow of the pandemic. His public letters condemning student violence and his strategic plans for UKZN's survival prove his value. He is not a foreigner but a crisis manager. The students who burn down gymnasiums do not care about his passport, they care about his decisions. And, as one of the few African-born vice-chancellors in the country, he embodies a pan-African academic leadership that South Africa desperately needs to retain global rankings and research output. The xenophobe on the street cannot name the VC of his local university, let alone organize a protest against his nationality. That would require reading. Yet the most emblematic figure in this parade of contradictions may be Sir Sam Jonah. The mining magnate, whose executive chairman of Jonah Capital is based in Johannesburg, did not move to South Africa. He strategically relocated his base after the Anglo-Gold Ashanti merger, bringing billions in investment and a network of global boardrooms with him. His Jonah Capital is not a small venture. It is a private equity fund that has financed infrastructure and resource projects across the continent, creating jobs and stimulating economic activity. As the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast in Ghana, he also bridges Ghanaian and South African higher education, fostering exchanges and research partnerships. The benefit to South Africa is tangible, capital, employment, and a reputation that attracts other investors. But Sir Sam is the exact type of foreigner the vigilantes would never touch. He wears a suit, not a street vendor's apron. He speaks the language of power, not of survival. The mob does not hate all foreigners, it hates those it can reach. Across the academic world, Professor Felix Dapare Dekora has spent years at the Tshwane University of Technology, TUT, holding a South African research chair in agrochemurgy and plant symbiosis, a position funded by the country's own research apparatus to solve pressing agricultural problems. He is a Ghanaian plant biologist who has devoted his career to finding cheap, environmentally safe alternatives to nitrogen fertilizer for resource-poor African farmers. His research directly benefits South Africa's food security and agricultural sustainability. He also served as president of the African Academy of Sciences, raising the continent's scientific profile and drawing international collaboration towards South African institutions. Yet the vigilantes who wave placards about Africans stealing our land would be flummoxed by a Ghanaian who is literally teaching the land how to feed itself more efficiently. The irony would be comical if it were not so tragic. Finally, we must mention the countless Ghanaian professionals in less visible sectors. Dr. Cyprian Berme, completing his pediatric neurology training at the University of Cape Town and returning to Ghana as the country's second subspecialty trained pediatric neurologist, having spent years training in South African hospitals. Or the Ghanaian academics like Professor Joseph Kwasi Agimong, holding positions at UNISA and the University of Eswatini, contributing to accounting and auditing research that supports financial transparency. Each of these individuals has been, in their own way, a net benefit to South Africa, bringing skills, filling gaps in the labor market, and contributing to the tax base. So what is the psychological through line? The vigilante who humiliates a Ghanaian on camera does not hate all Ghanaians. He hates the Ghanaian he can reach. He cannot reach Edom Abotsi because Abotsi works in a building with security guards and a government ID card. He cannot confront Professor Poku because the university's gates are closed to him. He cannot see Sir Sam Jonah because Jonah flies private and lives in a gated community. What he sees is the street vendor, the food seller, the mechanic, the one whose presence is visible, whose labor is tangible, whose vulnerability is an invitation to aggression. The mob is not fighting for jobs, it is fighting for a sense of hierarchy it feels it has lost. And the easiest way to regain that hierarchy is to find someone lower down the ladder and kick it out from under them. The report, what about these Ghanaians in South Africa? The answer, laid out over the past minutes, is that they are everywhere. They are running the finances of the military, teaching in the universities, signing the legal contracts, recording the platinum hits and feeding the people of Centurion. They are not a threat, they are a mirror. And the reason the mob does not look into that mirror is because the reflection would show a country that needs the very foreigners it pretends to despise. The irony, of course, is that the mob will never watch this report to the end. That would require putting down their phones, pausing the outrage, and sitting with an uncomfortable truth. If you made it this far, congratulations. You have done something the Wenella vigilantes cannot. You listened. Now take that phone you are holding and do not just scroll away. Share this video, tag the loudest voices, ask them one simple question. Why is a Ghanaian good enough to manage your army's money but not good enough to sell you a phone charger? Until the answer stops being hypocrisy, the roadblocks will never disappear. They will just find a new face to humiliate. Thank you for watching. Keep asking the questions they do not want you to ask. And remember, the next time you see a mob with a camera, ask yourself who is not in that frame. Because they are probably running the country. This channel stays watching. Subscribe.